All right, let's jump straight into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking something absolutely cinematic, a complete tactical evolution. You see, the 2026 World Cup is right around the corner, and as co-hosts, Canada is stepping onto the pitch not just to participate. No, they are looking to completely dictate the terms of the game. And the center of gravity for this entire tactical revolution? Well, it all comes down to one player, Alphonso Davies. We're going to dive deep into exactly how his incredibly unique profile has reshaped an entire nation's footballing identity. There's this fantastic quote going around right now. Most teams see Alphonso Davies as a world-class left back, but Canada saw a tactical weapon that could rewrite their entire footballing identity. And honestly, that hits the nail on the head. This is our hook today. This isn't just a story about a fast player, it's a literal blueprint for global dominance. By moving Davies into this highly sophisticated hybrid role, Canada has engineered a high-press system that is forcing opponents into an absolute defensive nightmare. They're no longer just a regional underdog. They are a tactical puzzle that the world's elite are seriously struggling to solve. Part 1. The wingback revolution, from winger to tactical fulcrum. To really understand what's happening right now, we have to look back at the chronological shift of Davies from a dynamic 16-year-old winger into a modern, sophisticated fullback. If we compare Davies to elite Premier League left-backs, think guys like Andy Robertson or Luke Shaw, the revolution becomes super clear. Look at their primary weapons. While Robertson relies on high-volume crossing and Shaw uses that deep ball carrying, Davies, he operates on explosive pace and 1v1 dribbling. His winger DNA completely breaks the mold of a traditional elite left-back. His first instinct isn't just to support the play, it's to drive forward, beat his man, and create absolute chaos in the final third. He isn't just a defender, he's a true positional hybrid. And it's exactly that winger DNA that allows him to execute one of the most complex roles in modern football, the inverted fullback. To break down the complex geometry of this role, let's use a really simple basketball analogy. Imagine you're watching a basketball team, and the player guarding the far outside corner suddenly sprints right into the middle of the paint to pass the ball. That's essentially what Davies does. By moving inside, stepping into the middle of the field instead of just hugging the sideline, he creates this massive numerical overload. Suddenly, Canada has 3 midfielders instead of 2. It makes it virtually impossible for the defending team to cover all the passing lanes. Section 2. Verticality and defensive overloads. Engineering the trap. Okay, let's get into the step-by-step mechanics of how this turns into a total defensive shambles for the opponent. It works like a calculated trap. Step 1. Davies inverts to overload the center. When he does this, his gravity pulls multiple defenders out of position. The opposing defense panics, right? So, step 2. They narrow their entire shape to compensate for that extra man in the middle. And the moment they do that, boom. Step 3. Massive space opens up out wide for a devastating counterattack. When you map this lethal strategy out, you see how Davies acts as the ultimate tactical decoy. By drawing all those defenders inside, he perfectly isolates Canada's secondary strikers, guys like Jonathan David and Tajon Buchanan, in these highly dangerous one-on-one scenarios out wide. So when Canada wins the ball back, they transition in seconds. They just ruthlessly exploit those wide-open highways that the opponent was literally forced to abandon. Part 3. The ultimate rest defense, a 36-kilometer-per-hour safety net. Now, if you're a football fan, you're probably wondering, wait, what about the risk? If your fullback is hanging out in the middle of the pitch, doesn't that leave the entire outside lane wide open to a counterattack? Well, yes. But the secret sauce making this whole system work is this exact number, 36 plus kilometers per hour. That is not just a statistic, folks. That is a literal safety net. Because Davies regularly hits speeds over 36 kilometers per hour, he can recover like nobody else. To put that into perspective, Canada can lose the ball, Davies can be 15 meters behind an attacker, and he can still run them down over a 50-meter sprint to make a last-ditch tackle. It is literally like watching a high-performance sports car downshift and completely neutralize a fast break. This raw, visceral speed is why the theory actually works on the grass. So let's contrast how wild this really is. A normal team uses a traditional rest defense, keeping players back in cautious, conservative positions so they don't get caught out. But Canada? They rely on the Davies Effect. Because of his elite recovery speed, Canada can take immense tactical risks. They confidently commit massive numbers forward, which lets their central midfielders operate freely as a protective screen higher up the pitch. They do all of this knowing that Davies can just sprint back and single-handedly fix almost any positional mistake. Section 4. Mastering the high press identity, suffocating the elite. Because they have that built-in safety net, head coach Jesse Marsch has the freedom to completely rewrite Canada's identity when they don't have the ball. When you look at their pressing triggers, whether it's a 3v3 transition or squeezing a low block, you see a highly aggressive, ball-oriented system. Since Davies handles the entire left flank defensively purely through his athleticism, the front line, spearheaded by players like Silo Lauren and Jonathan David, can aggressively squeeze the pitch. They literally trap opponents in their own third, suffocating passing lanes and forcing these rushed, desperate long balls. To summarize the shift in sheer physical terms, Canada now operates in a highly compact 1-4-4-2 mid-block. They apply immediate counterpressing the absolute second they lose the ball. They're actively forcing the opposition into wide area traps, and crucially, they're turning simple defensive clearances into lightning-fast breaks. Canada has evolved from a team that merely survives pressure to one that violently dictates the physical terms of the game. Part 5. The birth of a global tactical powerhouse. Road to 2026. Zooming out to the macro level for a second, let's look at the road ahead. Think back to Canada's developmental struggles before 2022. Now, contrast that with the terrifyingly disciplined giant killer we're seeing today. They've gone from a regional underdog to a legitimate global threat on home soil. And this isn't just about one tournament. Alphonso Davies is going to be in his absolute athletic prime at 25 years old in 2026, leading a host nation. His mastery of this hybrid role is a game changer. The idea is spreading like wildfire. It's actively being studied by youth coaches across North America. The next generation of Canadian players isn't just relying on speed anymore. They are adopting this exact tactical versatility. Which brings us to a massive, massive question. You've got a brilliantly disciplined tactical system, you've got a relentless high-press identity, and you've got a generational talent who is fundamentally redefining his position on the pitch. With the ultimate tactical weapon in their arsenal, who on earth is ready to stop Canada in 2026? Seriously, think about that as we head toward the summer tournament. Thank you so much for joining this explainer. I really hope this helps you visualize the brilliant, high-speed chess match happening out there on the pitch.